Hi, everybody. Chris with the Sage Estate Stooges here, and who am I joined by?
I don't know. You tell us.
Tell me. I'm not Steven. I'm not doing this shit for you.
Yeah,
Come on.
Chris the Broken. You can see everything. Come on, why don't you just tell
Chris,
us?
dude, if only I
Everything.
had an excuse not to go to work. I've got Josh here and I've got Grady here. We are Stevenless, as he's a little bitch, as much as we love him.
Well, we
Not
stabbed
finished
him
upstairs.
because we loved him and he was trying to take over
Had
the
to
world.
save him from himself.
Right.
Correct.
It was
He
sad.
was
This,
carried away by a dragon.
so this is something we've not done before, but one, we have a YouTube channel we've barely utilized, and two, doing, I might as well say it. This is, us basically talking about the finale to Game of Thrones. And we figured that this was such a cultural phenomenon and that the three of us have kept up with, that we figured, hell, why not try to do our best to just kind of claw aimlessly at that YouTube algorithm and see what we can get.
Pretty much.
It was legitimately one of those things where we finished it, we just went, we have to talk about it. And
Yeah.
we didn't have the full cast to talk about it. If you're just discovering us, we have a podcast, The Sage of Stage Stooges. You can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, all that other stuff.
I'm sure we'll have links.
Wherever quality podcasts are distributed.
Description. We'll provide links in the description.
We're great.
Don't have our fourth guy to talk about it, so we didn't want to have a full podcast about it. So we're just going to do this here, a quick, 45-minute max.
Yeah, we're gonna cash in
But,
on this cultural moment.
Right.
Yeah,
It is-
yeah,
It
go on.
is. That is exactly what it is. It's so prolific, out there that we thought we needed to speak about. And I read all the books. Of
Did you?
course.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, and have waited patiently and continue to wait patiently for George R. R. Martin to fucking finish the things. And I've watched
I wish
the
you
series
will.
through like 3 or 4 times at least. So
Ow.
I've been a big Game of Thrones fan for sure. And it's just so amazing to me because like this is something like my parents are into, like a lot of my family who would not normally be into this kind of show or tuned in. And of course, you can see it has got national and world acclaim. So it's just something so crazy about it that we need to talk about it.
We're all Southern. We're all Texans. How many of us have had family been like, I don't know about all that gay sex on there?
I haven't. No, I haven't had any of that.
One's
My
complaint.
parents, I don't think really watch it. My sister has watched some of it. I don't. No. They're actually no. They watched all of it. Actually, they held off for a while, but my parents haven't really got into it. I don't think.
No, and nothing. I know no one who's talked about that portion of it. So,
I was just curious because
but I'm sure that is something that is spoken about.
anyway,
in our
we'll get
region.
to it. We'll get to it. Okay, just so we can drop any pretense. Are we all coming from a perspective of disappointment to completely not happy? Like, are we on that scale essentially?
Yeah, if the middle is like
It was
content,
average. I thought it was
guess,
okay.
not happy
I thought it
but
was
content, and then like I'm on the lower scale. I'm not to the point of like I'm gonna pull my hair out. Like I understood that it was disappointing, and I mean I believe that there were portions, large portions that should have been done differently. But I don't know. All in all, I was like,
I don't want to
that
speak
could
for
have been way
Grady,
better. But
but I remember like posting Reddit free folk memes to y'all earlier, and then Grady was texted us when he found out he could actually do this tonight. He was like, kind of a devil's advocate approach to this, but after browsing Reddit free folk for about an hour, I'm like, no, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I do. Yeah, I do want to mention that because because I came out of the initial initial viewing texting one of our other friends, Holt, about it and everything, and he was giving he's giving kind of the full negative account of it, and I don't know. I really wanted to. I'm someone who tries to get a positive experience from things. I guess I
yeah,
try to have a good experience at restaurants, even if the service is a little slow or whatever, and so like I wanted this to be like good enough at least. And so I was like, well, okay, maybe this, or maybe this explanation or that explanation or whatever, for various shortcomings. But by the end of it, I kind of, reading on the Free Folk subreddit and the Kneelers subreddit too, that
Is that just our Game of Thrones?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what they call it on the Free Folk.
That actually, no, I should be pissed because they didn't do, like it was their job to do better than that, and I shouldn't have to read into some sort of exotic headcanon theory to cover for them.
Sure.
And without further ado, go on, and then I'll kind of intro.
Yeah, and just to touch on it, I kind of started talking about this before we recorded. I was in the same boat, Grady. I put so much of my life into it that I really wanted it to be good. And it's interesting to me because I didn't spend as much time, especially on this episode, on Reddit. And it's partially probably for me that I wanted it to be so good that I was finding excuses, maybe. But do you think that spending all that time and people breaking it down so heavily, do you think that would be, if that happened with any other show? Yeah, that's
yes.
There's that argument out there.
Yep.
If it happened with another show, if it was so critiqued, so scrutinized, would that lessen your view of the show?
I would say yes, and so here's what I would say for that, because I actually I was talking to Abby about this today. With a series finale like The Sopranos, that was big because they just cut to black and didn't tell you what happened.
Right.
And then they roll it for a little while, and then they roll credits, and then you're like, okay, fuck, it's over. Did he get killed? Yeah. What happened? And there was a big thing even back then.
One lingering question at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, before the real before actual internet was around, really, certainly a Reddit community or anything like that, it would have got ripped to shreds and owned online. Like they would have been all over the place.
Right.
But I think my thing is, they were trying to do something, and they did something innovative with that. Or like Lost, where it turns out it's just like a dream or something. I haven't really watched Lost.
Lost just kind of ends with them in heaven.
Yeah, they were dead the whole time, basically.
Like that is a very unique, a very big twist. Something that they're really stretching.
Many of those lines. I would say that with
still pretty disappointed with Lost.
Problem with things like I said, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but the problem with Lost was they were never ever building up to that ending. They just wrote it as they went along, and at the end they were like, well, fuck, what do we do? We'll just end it like this, and that's why a lot of people got mad.
Well,
just because none of the things you set up really mattered, and I think that's what a lot of people have
problems with this episode.
Game of Thrones. So I think, and we'll get into this. We're going to start the episode recap pretty quick, but I think you have the very ending is kind of different, and okay, but how many things in the show can you say, well, this never paid off, well, this never paid off, or this never went anywhere?
Yeah, I mean,
because I haven't watched it.
There is a certain amount.
There's just so much where it's just like, well, then what was the point of this? Well, then what was the point of this? Well, then why did he do this? Well, that didn't make sense. There's just so much of that. And I don't want to get into a comparison because I don't think we can.
No. Yeah, for sure.
Down the line.
The only thing that I meant to draw attention to was that yes, other shows' finales would definitely have to deal with online criticism to a much greater degree, and nowadays. But I think that they at least The Sopranos had kind of earned some credit for trying something new, versus what I think this is just not really trying something ambitious, just kind of falling into this short, unpleasant area of not really pleasing anyone.
With that being said, let's just start from the beginning. So I think from the very beginning, which is where we have Danny standing over, basically we have a city turned to ash. Okay? City's gone.
Arya rode a horse out of the city and then miraculously walked back in the city with no horse.
That was the first thing I wanted to talk about. First of all, look, we can talk forever about how, look, I don't think that Danny going nuts is a bad idea. I don't think it was executed well at all. The more I read about...
It's probably, sorry to interrupt, but it's probably part of George R. R. Martin's grand scheme that he gave them.
But he wouldn't get there like that. Not on a dime. Now I'm going to kill civilians. So we're already starting off on a really, I think for the three of us, we're already starting off on a really bad taste in your mouth. It's okay, now we have to go back to this universe where something that's just completely bullshit just happened.
I just think it was too quick. I think that she totally could have done, like, I don't know. She probably should have done that.
Another
Should
like
be
3 seasons to get there, maybe.
We needed to see something in the previous episodes where you could see her civilians in certain situations.
I mean, one event is all, because she's been repeatedly trying to convince, hey, you know, you should really like play it soft, and then she does, and she gets owned. You know, like she's been repeatedly let down by the path of the gentle, benevolent monarch. That it makes sense in her biggest moment
she's
to
also crucified some folks and stuff.
Bad people. So. She's crucified slavers and nobles.
Yeah, but then she marries one of the slavers because maybe he wasn't so bad after all. Like, you know, there's some of that.
Never gotten close to taking out civilians, and now all of a sudden, after she wins, she's like ready to take out civilians. For what reason? She went crazy, Chris. Well, why?
No, but it was explained. Is that may have been explained in a really brief way, but that Cersei was using them, wanted to use them as her weakness, so she wasn't going to let her.
Yeah, the thing is, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter at that point. She's won. Cersei's gone. Like it's over. There's no reason for her to have done that.
No, at that time we were talking about Cersei in the keep, surrendering or whatever. But why wouldn't Cersei fake surrender? I mean, that's Cersei.
Everyone dropped their swords. Like, look, I don't want to.
Those are troops, not civilians, that drop their swords. But
well, I think the thing is that she's a Targaryen, so she can go mad. Like, I think that's kind of.
So the point is, her going angry, her going mad was not set up well. There wasn't, Josh, and I think you can speak to this. Looks, which is a pleasant surprise. By this point in the story, Cersei's already dead, right?
No.
Oh, I thought somebody else took over King's Landing at this point. I thought somebody else was in charge.
No, Cersei doesn't. Are you still talking about the civilian part?
About the books.
To my knowledge, in the books, no. Everything in King's Landing is pretty much. I mean, because
I thought I read somebody else had taken over and they were like really happy with him.
They're really outstretched from the books. They haven't. They're past them, right?
That, but I don't recall the last latter part of the last book. It's been like, I don't know, 8 years since I read them.
I thought the show was well past the books.
7 or whatever.
It is, but I'm saying I thought like Cersei had already been killed and like somebody else had taken over King's Landing.
I don't recall her being killed in the books.
Well, hold on, I gotta find out now.
Well, keep going. I'll look it up.
Let's see. Yeah, just read the wrong fucking sources. I had been led to believe that somebody else kind of took over. Yeah, she's still imprisoned.
I don't think the book
she's still in prison
really factors too much into the series part now.
I was just pointing out that the book seems to have a way that, from what I've heard, is that whoever's running King's Landing right now is like actually well liked.
Well, it may have been, and like I said, I don't really remember the end of The Dance of Dragons where that all shakes out. But at the point that she's imprisoned and Tommen's in charge and Marjorie's in charge, like everyone, most people like those people as rulers. So that might be what you're referring to. I'm not sure.
I just heard that there was like a setup where you could have somebody who is well liked by the people, and it kind of robs Dany of her.
Oh, in the book, there's like several other possible.
Yeah, and
they're never even talk about it.
I'm just saying better ways you could have done it. My ultimate point was that Dany turning mad is rushed, and it doesn't feel believable when she goes nuts and burns a whole bunch of people, and that leads us into what Josh was saying with Arya surviving a catastrophe 15 times over on a white horse, which according to D&D, the showrunners, was symbolic of something. Now, what that is, I don't know, because that fucking horse doesn't show up in this episode at all.
At first, like, my mind first went to, like, Daenerys's white mare that Drogo gave her, and I was like, that has no... I don't see that there's any connection there, so I had to abandon that. But
People
other than that, I
believe that it was Bran walking into a horse.
But the problem with all of that, anything to do with that horse, is she rides out of the burning city and then she just comes back into the city.
Comes back, yeah.
So it's like, great.
So we're already starting off on that.
Yeah, I mean,
We're already starting
visuals
off-
maybe like it was white. She's of the north, but it's all sullied from like the bloodshed of everything. That. But other than that, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sullied, the first major issue beyond that setup we have is Grey Worm.
Killing.
And executing civilians. And,
Wait.
I get it. Or not civilians, but soldiers. And I get it that he's under orders to do it. But at this point, I think is where this episode specifically, but not this season as a whole, because we've already seen character assassination on a whole, throughout this season. But
Yeah.
Grey Worm was never somebody that I would look at and just say, you would just do cruel shit because someone told you to. Like, he always struck me as someone who's more independent.
But he's lost his
he's lost his guide in Masande.
his
or,
tie
his
to
reason
humanity.
Yeah.
I
For
just,
sure. And
it's
he's
one of
a
those things.
soldier, and that may just be, that he may just look at that as part of war. Is these people are no better than the masters that we used to serve, so they need to be done.
It's one of those other things where maybe if it had been set up better.
Right, sure. And I think that's what we're
I
running
just
into.
see a transition. Like, it's just too whiplashy of a transition.
That's what you continually run into this whole season is if it
Not
would have
enough
been
time.
set up better.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough time. 2 or 3 seasons, maybe you can hash out how these characters get there. but
Yep.
There just wasn't enough time.
2 seasons or like a regular length season that they used to have, that would still like totally do it. Probably.
There's still a lot of
willing to
screen
do.
time, but yeah. Either way.
Well, that leads us to actually what I think is a really good sequence where Tyrion is walking through the city and seeing the destruction and kind of awing at, like, this is the person I put my faith in.
Yeah,
And-
like I fucked up. My friend died. Like this
Being
whole
said,
thing. Yeah.
I think this entire season has been frustrating. He's too smart for all the shit he pulls now, but us all complaining, oh, he just finds his way to the basement and manages to find. No, I feel like he was legitimately going down there to see if his brother and sister made it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, for
think
sure.
that's weird.
And
I don't think that's strange at all.
No, I
And
don't
I
think
thought-
so either.
And I thought Tyrion, I mean, that whole Peter Dinklage, I thought did a great job. Really, in the whole.
He's the best actor in the series.
Yeah, for sure, and especially in this finale. But yeah, when the emotion when he finds his brother and sister, like the last of his family, who he was trying to save, dead. I mean, I think that cements there for him, of course, what's going to happen with Dany. I think that carries a lot of his conversation that he'll have with Jon. But yeah. I will continuously say probably throughout this thing that I thought Tyrion's arc was pretty good. So.
I do like how people are pointing out that if you look at pictures of that scene, like if Cersei and
Yeah, I've seen that.
Jamie had stood like a few feet over to the right or whatever, they'd still be alive.
Well, sure, and they should be buried under like 2 more feet of rubble, but that doesn't make for good TV.
It's
So
really
Right,
hard
yeah.
for a dwarf to dig his way through that much.
I
I
didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to.
All you're really trying to convey is they died in the stones. Oof, you don't have to rebuild everything meticulously for sure.
So now we have Dany standing in front of everybody, and by everybody I mean a ton of Unsullied and a bunch of Dothraki. And like, look, at this point, this is one of those things where I try not to get hung up on continuity errors too much. But at this point, I'm beyond frustrated. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. We're done. But like, the show makes a point in earlier episodes, and I really think the season started going downhill with the Long Night, which was the battle against the undead.
Yeah.
Where it makes a point to show us that the Dothraki get wiped out instantly in one of the dumbest military moves in any show I've ever seen. But like, we see them get wiped out, and then the next time we talk about them, they're like, "Oh, we have half of our Unsullied left. We have half of our Dothraki left." Like, what are you talking about? And it's stuff like that that really starts.
Half left.
Of when they were talking about what forces they could take to King's Landing, they mentioned like 50% left. And
Just overall, I didn't think they meant that about the Dothraki.
I think they meant 50% of Unsullied, 50% of Dothraki. I might have been wrong. I might have
I don't know if you. I mean that point. I rewatched it this afternoon, and it's not that many Dothraki left. I mean, it's a good chunk, but you know, it's not.
Okay, but the thing is, like, we see
not the
them
whole
all
Khalasar.
die. We see them all die, and then the Unsullied got ripped to pieces in that fight. But now all of a sudden, no, it's fine.
Well, we don't see them all die. Some of them ride back, remember?
Right.
Like six
mean,
of them, but some
I
of them
just
do.
don't think that's the best thing. Like
It's frustrating when you go to the extent, when you go to the links to show me, look at what just happened, but then none of that carries over. Like, well, shit, it doesn't matter now. And this is the problem I had with the battles going forward, because I was like, well, shit, what does it matter? Because no matter how many people Danny loses in this fight, it won't matter because she'll just have enough the next time.
Yeah, it does cheapen.
It cheapens Lost 100%. Like, I expected the big issue. Like, to be honest, like, let's discount fan theories where we're talking about the Night King going down to King's Landing. I legitimately thought that, like, once the North got the shit kicked out of it, that the South would march up to meet them in mid-battle. Like, get them far. Don't let this fight happen near Cersei.
Sure,
We can force here and surprise attack them somewhere because they've got nothing left. Nope, they've got, like, everybody left. How?
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people felt that same way, and that was my main thing after that episode. But let's try to get back to the finale.
So anyway, I'm already frustrated because I see her, like, talking to all these people who should be dead.
It is cool cinematically, though. Like
a cinematic, and that's been the strong
point.
That's been the strong point of the season. Whether it be as stupid as it was, Dothraki charging towards the dead with their flaming swords just to get snuffed out. It looks cool. It's dumb, and I don't think you should make that sort of narrative sacrifice for the idea of looking cool. But, like, it looked cool.
Well, this particular shot doesn't really sacrifice anything. So
I don't think that they're making narrative sacrifices to make it look cool. I think that they're making narrative blunders, and the visual effects crews are still making it look fucking dope. Like,
might be it.
Yeah,
like
kudos to them for sure.
They're making it look awesome, even if I don't care how we wrote to get here. We're gonna make it look cool, you know.
The thing with the Dothraki was 100% D&D's decision. Like, ride them off like this, and then it'll look really dramatic when you see how strong of a force they're up against. But that doesn't make sense for don't matter. Looks cool. I think that was it. But I mean, I think what you're talking about was interesting from perspective of, like, a shot of the Clegane Bowl where it's the Hound of the Mountain facing off down those stairs, and then, like, cinematography is, like, facing up at them, and then they have that dragon go over them. It's like stuff like that I really, really liked, because it's just symbolic of, like, of all the chaos going around these two people, all they care about is like what's right now. I really, really like stuff like that. Awesome. But this was one of the cooler shots. There are some people complaining that's too on the nose. I don't care. Like, cool. Where you just have Dany standing there, and then behind her, her sole remaining dragon, was it Drogon? Yeah. Like, coming out from behind her, like, symbolizing this is the ultimate dragon queen. Now, it doesn't really go anywhere, but we'll get to that.
Just in like top of the steps of a half burnt, you know, keep, and her giant dragon flag. I don't know, the whole thing looked neat, and you were like, yeah, she's kind of turned straight up like Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, she's full on wearing, like, she's like full on wearing black now.
Right, yeah. So,
yeah, they did the Dark Army, like, Nuremberg rally style. Like.
Yes, it did harken to that.
Unsullied are pounding their spears.
Yeah, and she's like shouting out in some foreign languages and stuff. So,
talking about how they're going to liberate the world. Now, I was really worried because I was thinking, okay, they can probably just tell by her tone, but when Tyrion, who kind of sneaks up behind because he's in trouble for betraying her, he helped rescue his brother, like, from her grasp, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I remember him, like, standing up there and, like, his face looking really upset. And I'm like, I hope that they don't forget that. At this point, I thought nothing was off. I was like, please don't tell me that somehow off screen Tyrion learned how to speak this language. No, he blatantly states later, John, we couldn't understand her, but you could figure out, did that sound like someone who was ready to be at peace? And she was just basically talking about going across the entirety of the planet and liberating everyone.
She was going to become the stallion that mounts the world, you know?
Right.
Turns every blade of grass gray or something.
I will ride the world saddle, as from Street Fighter movie once said.
But yeah, Tyrion.
Yeah.
Tyrion turns in his hand badge because, as he said, you slaughtered a city. So.
But he does
No.
like the petty thing where you're gonna hand something to someone, but then you go, "Oops, I dropped it."
No, he didn't. He didn't
No,
do
he
that. He threw it down, man.
Yeah, but that's
You gonna
still
hand
pretty
it to him?
petty. I don't know.
Great subversion of expectations, because there was a second where I thought he was going to push her down the stairs.
Oh.
Imagine, I would have. Look,
Those
honestly,
are your expectations that were subverted. Huh?
like if he just ran up and then just shoves her, and then we have this long shot, like from way behind, like all the way at the bottom of the stairs, way panned out, and just we watch her roll all the way down for like 30 seconds.
It was a
That
black
would've been
comedy all along.
That's slightly more ridiculous than what they did.
So anyway, as y'all mentioned, Tyrion's like, "Fuck you, you destroyed a city." Throws his badge down. "I'm done. I'm not working for you anymore. I know you're gonna have me killed." He gets hauled off, and at that point, that's when we get John talking to him, right? John visits him in the keep.
John and Arya have the little thing that some people complain about.
I know a killer when I see one.
Yes.
Everyone looks around at the destroyed city. I do too.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's funny? We spent an entire boring arc where Arya learned how to use people's faces and didn't do it a single time this season.
Well, we don't know how she got.
She wasn't carrying her bag of faces.
It was dumb.
What if she was dressed as the werewood tree to kill the Night King? We don't know.
I'm fine with that.
She could have just used like any old disguise, you're right. But some people are like, "Oh, well, why don't you just take so-and-so's?" It's like, A, I have to kill them. B, I have to meticulously skin their face off. That actually does take time. We've established that.
Really annoying.
Yeah, so
And,
like
I mean,
she
she-
can't just take them willy-nilly, but she could have just used some old man or something. Like she could have used some disguise.
Just use it. You set all that time up her using that power, and she used it against Walder Frey, and that was it. That was the end of it.
I don't know. It is like, and it's one of those things where they really should have, if it was intended, they should have fleshed it out more. But like, how did she kill the Night King without getting stopped? How did she like?
Did she jump over an entire army of people? Yeah.
Well, how does she get to the places and sneak up on people the way she does? It's like it's never seen how she does it, but it's implied that she's really good at sneaking around. Maybe
just trust her. She's really good at it. We almost needed one of those post-episode D&D things. Well, Arya's really good at sneaking.
I'm just, as I said, I'm gonna play a little.
Arya forgot that people can detect her.
But yeah,
people forgot to use their ears when Arya's around.
The Jon and Tyrion scene, I thought was done pretty well.
Don't.
For the situation that it was.
Okay, so one thing is, Jon
is frustrating. Jon is beyond frustrating. This isn't Jon.
Well, they kind of wrote him into that, but he's not like not frustrating earlier.
He's been frustrating for a long time. Our running joke is usually that if it's an unpopular decision and it's going to lose him power and respect and just generally make his position worse, he's probably going to do it.
Yeah.
He's always done that.
That's just Jon's lot in life.
And he's just been like, well, and he looks sad about it, but he's like, oh, well, it's what I got to do, he does always like kind of do stupid and frustrating things.
At least, like, the thing about this is I just can't see, even after all the frustrating stuff he's done, I can't see Jon sitting there being like, he literally went from, I can't justify our city of people. And later on, it's just, what if it was the right thing? No, Jon doesn't fucking think it was the right thing. Not for a single second.
But he's lawful good. And he has sworn himself to the queen. She is technically the law, even if what she's doing seems bad to him. That the lawful side of him is saying, hey, but look, you have to follow this because she's your queen. Even while the good side of him is saying, like, dude, you know that no, right? Part of him is saying, I think.
The lawful side of him is just too strong. Like, that's always been his problem. Like, with the wildlings and everything, it's... well, I guess that wasn't so lawful as I don't know, but yeah, I guess it goes back to what you were saying, Grady. He's very.
I thought he was. I don't
decisions that are unpopular.
Talk about it than I am
Hmm?
because you rewatched it. And has broken rules, right? Like he's done that.
Yeah, he's broken. I guess what I mean is loyalty. He takes his word seriously, and that's why he's stupid enough to tell Sansa and Arya, like, hey, just like swear not to tell anyone, and then to do the classic middle school rumor style, like, you know, oh, I'll only tell my best friend, and please don't tell anyone, you know, like, he's dumb enough to and honorable enough that he thinks that other people will maintain their word like he maintains his word.
Well, that's his whole thing at the end of season 7 when he's meeting with Cersei. He's like, you know, I could have just lied to her and said, yeah, you're my queen, but I'm too honorable for that. So,
yeah. And so even here where he's sworn fealty to this queen that's now torching the city, he's like, well, shit, but I did swear my fealty to her.
Yeah. So, and in
that
sense,
opinion didn't last long.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. I think it was a really like difficult decision for him, but I can understand why he would have made. I do think it was really quick. Like he argues with Tyrion, and then he's like, "Okay, well, yeah, I guess I do need to do that thing." Like it is just one
he pleads
encounter.
with her first. Like he does say, you know, he has the whole conversation about what if other people have a different idea of what good is, and like, I don't think we can do this the way you want to do it, Daenerys.
True.
Yeah, hold on. What did y'all think? What was it? Love is the death of duty, and then some would say duty is the death of love.
Those are kind of dumb.
It's like this is just cyclical. Like this is straight up like, what is it? Hate leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Like, dude, I can literally just interchange any of those, and it still makes sense. Like
duty.
I think the scene would have benefited from probably not using that particular.
Not turning it around, at least. I didn't mind the callback to Aemon, but
yeah, sure.
Oh, that was a callback. I forgot. Yeah. How do you guys remember this better than I?
We rewatched everything before watching the new season, so.
Yeah, and so did I, but also like 4 times in 3 years.
So it's kind of fresh
cool
for me.
And again,
I take back my criticism. Then I like callbacks. So.
And again, I think Tyrion was very good in that exchange.
He's good at anything, even when the actor is. Peter Dinklage is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Peter Dinklage is the great.
Like I said, I think Tyrion's been incredibly frustrating for a while now because he's just, you used to be really smart. Well, you're not.
So I think with Tyrion, you know, and to speak to that, he is really good at managing a kingdom or maintaining power from behind the scenes and stuff. But he's not ruthless enough. He's too naive in terms of like believing kind of in the general good of people, that he's not good at taking power or fighting a war.
I don't know if I believe. Okay, I can see taking power, fighting a war, but I don't think he's someone who believes in the general good of people. He has no reason to. He's never had a reason to.
He's not everyone. He has certain villains, but besides that, he generally thinks like, okay, you know, these people can be dealt with. Everyone's reasonable. Everyone can. There is some way to strike a deal with everyone.
The man who shot his father with a crossbow. I don't know if I buy that.
Well, look at what he did with the slavers in Slavers Bay. He was like, let's bring them in and I'll offer their 7 years. And they betray him. I mean, he does end up making similar mistakes over and over again. But in regards to Daenerys, I think he was pretty much dead. Like, he left after killing his father, and then he got sold, you know, got bought by slavers or whatever. And then, like, Daenerys gave him, like, a second chance at being the man he thought he could be. So I think... And maybe it should be fleshed out a little more as everything we're saying.
That might be it, like the fleshed out thing. I think part of what you just said, it's not fleshed out well enough. I think
how much he owes Daenerys.
Yeah, well, how much he loves. He says it actually in this episode. I think.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
He loves her. You know, to some extent.
When you look back at, and I think once again it goes back to how rushed this season's been for no reason. They didn't have to make it 6 episodes. HBO was willing to go more.
Oh, that is dumb then.
Back to the fact that you have Tyrion and he's discussing with Varys, who I think got done dirty 100%. And he's literally discussing with it. Yeah. Varys is like, dude, this is bullshit. We can't support her, and you know it. I was like, no. But for no reason at all, other than I guess loyalty, he goes and tells Dany, knowing that she will kill Varys, and then Varys dies. And the second he sees Varys die, he's like, oh, okay, I fucked up. Like, that's the one thing it took for him to change his mind. Like, and there was no reason for him to tell on Varys at all. There was none. It was just one of those things where it's, why did you do that?
No, he did have to tell her about Varys because
I don't think he did.
Varys
don't
was
think-
plotting to kill Daenerys. He
Yeah, Varys was
actively
trying to poison
poisoning
her.
I do not care. He was willing to release Jaime from prison. Oh, but Chris, he's his brother. I don't care. One of the things he told his brother when he got him out was, "You saved my life." Guess who else saved his life? Varys. Varys saved
Well,
his
also Daenerys, if you go back to the point I was making. So
life. Right, but Varys very directly. Varys gave up everything for Tyrion. Remember? Y'all remember? Varys had to leave on that
Yes,
boat. He was
yeah,
like,
I understand.
okay.
He's the whole reason that Tyrion's with Daenerys. But
See, if Tyrion's gonna be, well, shit, I have to bat people, and I'm gonna let my brother go, knowing that I'm betraying Dany. Once again, I'm gonna let my brother go, knowing I'm betraying Dany.
Tyrion's already saved Varys' life. Varys came to them, came to Daenerys, and Daenerys was going to kill him for ordering the assassination of him and of her in when she was an infant. And Tyrion vouched for her and vouched for him and stepped in and said, no, this guy is actually a good guy. You should let him work for you. He's already kind of repaid that debt.
I just feel like he's too wishy-washy in that entire situation. His motive changes. He tells on him for no reason. Now, maybe he was.
His motive changes. I think his motive is always, I can steer Daenerys back into the right path.
He literally changes his mind the second Varys dies. He immediately turns around and does the same exact thing. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And we're getting off course. My point is just, and y'all see it differently. So y'all are viewing these scenes from a different perspective, and I just kind of want to get that fleshed out. I don't think something here. Y'all disagree? Fair enough. But my point is, Tyrion at this point has already been kind of, I don't know what I'm going to get from you anymore.
Well,
kind of.
It seems to me, they allude to it pretty directly, right? Because when eventually what we haven't said is that Jon goes up, talks to Dany, tries to talk her down, and then he stabs her in the chest. Or not the chest, but the stomach.
It's just enough to kill her pretty instantly. So.
But like,
I think it's just a bad shot. It seems.
But Tyrion later on mentions that like this was our idea, right? Like they don't talk about it, but we kind of planned that.
What you mean our idea? What do you mean?
Well, after he talked, well, I don't want to get this is further ahead than what I want to get, but like later on,
Tyrion's involved in her assassination, is what you're saying?
Jon and Jon's like, "What did I do?" And then Tyrion's like,
"Oh,
what did we do?" But anyway, so Jon stabs her, she dies, and then Drogon, her final dragon, shows up. And hey, you know what? Like, it's kind of sad that like the most I felt for any character in this episode was a giant CGI dragon.
It was well done. I thought it was good.
So, well, it starts off well done because he's acting like he's going to kill Jon. And I guess he decides, no, I'm not going to. I don't really know why he doesn't. Maybe because he's a Targaryen.
Targaryen, yeah.
Here's the dumb thing. Now, if the dragon had just lost its mind, chaos, the Iron Throne was destroyed, I would have clapped. Bravo. That's good. But the fall of Dany is the end of this whole lineage of bullshit. That's not what happens. It's a fucking political science degree and an English literature degree. Because he understands that the throne at this point is a symbol of all the petty fighting and murder that has gone on between mankind. And he purposely targets the throne and melts it before leaving.
I don't know if it has to be that.
It's what it was.
Well, I mean, to us, yes, but
I
it could also.
my...
I mean, the dragons are said to be very intelligent. I mean,
okay, but have they ever done anything
written in the
like
books
that
there? So
have they done anything like that?
Tyrion has said that specifically in the show. It's mentioned several times in the books, but
yeah, I mean, Tyrion's talking to the dragons when he's unchaining them, and the dragons understand for the most part.
That is such an intricate idea. I don't buy it for a second.
They said that some maesters think they're vastly more intelligent than humans or something along those lines.
Yeah,
I know
that stuff.
Yeah, they don't play it that way in the show most of the time. They play them like beast dogs, but
exactly. If they were so fucking smart, they would have seen the Iron Fleet and not been murdered. But like,
yes, because you can see something that you can't see. I mean, that's not here or there. We don't need to talk about that. We don't know.
They could easily see it all the way up there. That whole thing, they couldn't see it, was nonsense.
Well, that's
but
fine.
like,
but I'm just saying that Yeah, okay. That's another thing they could have fleshed out more with the dragon's intelligence. But it is established that dragons are intelligent. Maybe he doesn't see it as, oh, this is this is the ruling of all of this. Maybe he just sees it as, this is what you wanted, now you're dead. Well, screw this thing.
Or
he kills it.
maybe Bran warged him
Well,
during
of
the
course,
Battle of the Long Night, and that's what he warged him for.
Bran worked into everything all the time.
Looking for him. So anyway, yeah. So I think it's silly. Whatever.
Sure, whatever.
It wasn't the
Well,
best,
it had
but
to be done, I guess.
yeah.
I think it could have been dealt with better. But he carries away Danny's body to rot midair somewhere. I don't know what else is going to happen.
He can fly
So
pretty
now-
far.
Takes her to Valyria, right?
Where we have a time skip, and
Like a couple of weeks, sort of.
Enough to get a little
Yeah.
bit bushier of a beard.
Oh well, everyone
Everyone's
from
got
the
bushy-
north came south, so it's like
Arya-
maybe 6
Arya-
months.
Arya's got a big bushy beard now.
Yeah.
And we now have a bunch of lords. We have Sansa. We have their uncle, who's just a
Edmure
loser.
Tully,
Edmure.
who I think is
Um,
gracing our discussion.
He is that beautiful man.
He is. You have them. You have several of the other Northerners. You have, what's her name? The Greyjoy.
Yara,
Yara, yeah.
Yeah, you have Yara Greyjoy. And so
who is still loyal to the queen. She makes it known.
here's the weird thing. So Grey Worm shouldn't give a shit at all
fun.
about all this stuff. Okay, all he knows is his queen is dead.
And that he's inexplicably imprisoned the person who probably confessed to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, John
he
came
has-
to him and was like, "I did this," and he imprisoned him, right?
So they're literally in this. They're under this nice pavilion, like this tent. They're all hanging out in chairs, and Grey Worm shows up at Tyrion, who's in chains, in jail because they didn't just flat out kill him. And the whole
Nope.
time, Grey Worm's like, "This is what I want," and then Tyrion's like, "But it's not up to you." And I'm like, "Fuck no, it's not up to him. Like, who's gonna stop him?"
Well, and this actually is one of the points I had that I was against when I thought about it more. Is you're right, Grey Worm doesn't have much of a stake in this, right? So he's like, or I think Sansa's like, you need to let John go, and the exchange ends up being, there are thousands of Northerners that say you should not harm Jon Snow, and he's like, well, there's thousands of Unsullied that says maybe we should. I'm like, why the fuck do you care, man? You're not gonna sit there and fight a battle to kill Jon Snow.
Look, I
Just leave.
get. Here's my thing. Like, I get why he wants to kill Jon Snow because he killed his queen. But like,
Yeah,
why did he
but
keep him alive to barter? Like, why is he asking their permission to do it?
Yeah,
Like,
I
what
wonder
you just
why
said.
Jon Snow is alive. Like he was just murdering people who had recently surrendered and were basically no threat. And now that he's basically got
exactly.
free reign, no queen to hold him back, no nothing, he can just slaughter him if he wants. He's like, oh no, I better arrest him and wait for people to tell me what to do with him.
But
What
I'll
sucks
threaten
is,
to
look,
kill
we
him.
can right now. John kills Danny. The dragon flies off. John runs. He fucking flees. He maybe tries to go after Tyrion. Can't. He's too heavily guarded. And he goes, "I'll be back for you." And then he fucking leaves, and he doesn't have a chance. Weeks later, and they're like, "Okay." And then like, Grey Worm is on his tail or something. Like,
Well, That
just
didn't happen,
anything.
unfortunately.
Then you can have John standing with them, and they're like, "Hand over John right now." And they're like, "Fuck no, we're not handing over John." And then they come up with a compromise right there.
Yeah, maybe.
Now we have two issues. One, what do we do with Jon and Tyrion? And two, who's gonna be the next king? So let's talk about the first issue first. So basically, Grey Worm is just on and on and on about, I want both of these guys to die. Because
Right.
Tyrion keeps making the point, well, you don't have the jurisdiction to make this decision. Like I said, it's dumb. Like we said, it's dumb that they even care about that. So eventually, well,
It's
we
not
can deal with
discussed
it.
on screen.
We're gonna have to handle Tyrion after we talk about the king issue, actually. So first
Yeah.
we have, what do we do with Jon?
Josh, what were you saying? Sorry.
I was saying the whole thing with John isn't actually discussed on screen. It just after the fact, Sansa or
Right.
actually Tyrion tells him, "Oh, this is what we decided." So none of that actually happens on screen.
You're right.
It's all just talked
That
about
happened
after the fact.
On the king, the Jon thing.
Yeah, it happens right after the king.
Okay, so then we'll talk about the king thing first, and we'll talk about what happens with Tyrion and then Jon.
Yeah.
So essentially, we're sitting around. All right, before we talk about what happened with these prisoners who shouldn't even be prisoners, we need to decide. Yeah, because you're right. Well, then who gets to make the decision over what to do with Jon and Tyrion? Well, we need a king. Well, we don't have one.
Right.
Well, okay, we can't just appoint whoever. I don't know why they don't say, well, Jon can be king right now. He's not there to say no, and he has the most direct line of the.
Grey Worm's not going to let that happen.
Grey Worm apparently will let anything happen.
Well,
so,
no, the whole thing is he compromised for what happened to Jon. Anyway, we're talking about who could be king other than Jon. This is essentially what we're
And there's the argument that potentially people don't actually involved in here don't actually want Jon to be king.
So we have Sam, who stands up and suggests democracy.
Yes.
And at first I was like,
out.
end it that way. I don't know if I'm going to be really happy or really pissed off. Like I wouldn't be.
I thought the same thing. I was like, that would be interesting if nothing else.
What if we do decide for a representative democracy? So anyway, that
all the lords laugh at him. So there's that.
We need to choose between all of us.
Yeah, including Yara, who that's literally how they choose kings in the Iron Islands.
The Iron Islands, King's Moot.
But she's like, bah, ha, ha, ha.
And eventually,
Edmure stands up.
Talks about how greedy he is, and then Sansa tells him to sit the fuck down. What do we do next?
I did enjoy that part of the finale because that is all we've ever seen of Edmure. Like, he's a buffoon and just way too full of himself.
Yeah, he's cocksure.
He does it.
Doesn't Kat at one point say, "I don't care much for my brother" or whatever, or
I don't know. She says a lot of things about her brother, I think, or at least a few disparaging things.
He's an idiot through and through throughout the series. It's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, eventually, Tyrion gets up and just goes about stories and how stories are important. And I went, "Oh no, the writers are about to jack themselves off," and then they do. They pick Bran, who
Bran the Broken.
Bran has a better story than everyone?
Has everyone's stories.
According to Tyrion.
Maybe, yeah, I guess. He doesn't have a better personal story than everyone, but...
The argument made is that he has the history of people because he's become the Red Raven.
He is.
And he has
sure.
A fairly interesting personal story in that he didn't die when he got thrown from a tower. He went north of the wall and, lived through the
became
fight
magic
with the Night King and all that shit.
The thing is, we have this character who has all these powers, doesn't really use them for anything. Like in the battle, the battle for Winterfell, he literally, I have to go now, and he controls ravens. We don't really see that do anything. He's emotionless. Many times he's been like, yeah, I'm not really Bran anymore. I don't really care about all of it. I'm not interested in it. And all of a sudden he kind of does, I guess. I don't know. I can never know.
He admits to caring. He says, well, that's why I came all the way here, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I let all these people die so I could come over here and become king.
Well, and I just want to touch on one thing real quick about the whole Bran becoming king thing. A lot of people have since gone, and it's what people have been doing with the series, all season, and for the history of the series, is they go back and they try to piece things together and come up with theories. Well, everyone has now come up with theories about Bran and how he's manipulated things, and there's very small hints at that. But if that's what we're meant to understand about how Bran got to where he is, there needs to be a lot more on the nose stuff about how he's manipulating things behind the scene, and
never really figure out how.
Throw us some he wargs into somebody or something, or because he gives Arya the dagger she ends up killing the Night King with, and that's the first hint. But then there's not really anything.
Yeah.
else. That doesn't have the right payoff if that's what they intended it to be.
And I agree that there is the possibility that and other theories are either what was intended or what make the story still good. What I resent is that the work of all that has been put way too much on a meticulous exercise by the audience rather than just good enough storytelling to where you have to read it closely, but you can still pretty much get
Right.
it by watching the show, rather than having to go on internet forums to figure it all out by piecing together, scenes from disparate episodes. And
With simple
Yeah.
explanations. That's why the whole Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet thing really pisses me off because it's like literally everyone's sitting there going, "Why the fuck did she not think that was going to happen?" And
Oh,
in
yeah.
order for them to justify it, they have to have an after special where they go, "Oh, she just kind of forgot. That's the reason."
like,
Like,
I was like yelling at her, like, "Hey, you might want to watch out!" Oh God, oh no! And it's just like getting killed when I was just jokingly saying, "I mean, there are ships down there," and she gets
Well,
shot out of the sky.
Well, for Bran, I
Not her,
have
but
read
the
a
other
few of
dragon.
those like fleshed out theories, and it all does make sense, and you can take little hints here and there. But that was a great way of explaining it, Grady. It's if that was their intent, they need to give us a little more. I don't want everything. I'm fine with trying to figure stuff out, but you did not give us, you did not lead us far enough for us to then, guess what you were trying to get at. You gave us like 2 hints and stopped and been like, oh, he's the three-eyed raven, and now he's king. So he had to have done something to get there, right? And with that one last little like, oh, well, if I didn't want to be king, I wouldn't have come or whatever. Like that's how you're gonna pay us off? Like he knew all along just because of that? Like,
Yeah.
it's not good enough.
what George R. R. Martin said when he was talking about writing twists and stuff, where he was like, "Look, if you're writing an entire book, a mystery, and it's set up for the butler to do it, halfway through, and then somebody on the internet finds out, oh, I think it's going to be the butler, and they kind of piece it together already." And then you go, well, shit, they figured it out, and all of a sudden you change it to the maid, where it doesn't make sense at that point. One way, and then you just rip it the other way because you think people are going to figure it out. And that's bad. That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that may have happened with some of the storylines, but we have to assume that George R. R. Martin is going to write that Bran becomes king because that's what the whole thing is about. So that had to be something he gave them.
Bran's
How
not a
they
bad
say
character
so,
to
right?
become king if it is actually done correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but D&D didn't set it up that way.
Correct.
They didn't put anything in their
No. Yeah.
I agree with that.
So,
And one thing that I don't know if I've read this somewhere or heard it, but this season does very much feel like what it is. They've outstripped the books and they're working off of the outline, and it does feel like just the high points of an outline.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Pretty high points.
So, just to kind of continue here. So now Bran the Broken is our new king, Ray.
He knew it all along.
To be there all along. He was going to let all his people die all along.
Probably.
And so now we have to decide what happens. So he basically says, Tyrion's going to be my hand, and he's been a hand before.
And he's like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, screw it. That's what you're doing.
That's what you're doing. I didn't want to be
Does want to do that.
I didn't want to be king either. And then, Grey Worm's like, that's not good enough. He needs to be punished. It is punishment.
And then Grey Worm's like,
It's
okay,
different.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that makes sense, actually. And then they're like, well, what do we do with Jon? And they're like,
And then really the next scene is, I think, Tyrion speaking to Jon in his captivity about becoming a member of the Night's Watch, which
Has
doesn't
no
exist anymore.
exists. There's a giant hole in the wall. The wildlings aren't fighting them anymore. The White Walkers are gone.
But I will say that I like the idea that they knew the Grey Worm wasn't gonna fucking know about it, and they didn't want they wanted Jon to have whatever he wanted to do up there, like go back to the north. You're part of the Night's Watch. Tormund's running the Night's Watch, and they're buds, and everyone knew that except for like the foreigners. So.
Wait, is that how you interpreted it?
Well, after the fact. I mean, at the time, I was like, they're dumb. But, I mean, if you go
I
back
think-
and look at it, like, Tormund isn't running a Night's Watch at all. He's just waiting on Jon.
Yeah, they just get a bunch of free folk and leave. Like they're
so-
clearly not intending to night watch it.
that Grey Worm's basically like, so you promise you're gonna banish him up there and you can never come back or have kids or any of this stuff. Yep, we totally promise. And I remember seeing there was a meme on Free Folk that was like the Unsullied shipping away.
The
then
LOL,
Bran
yeah.
Bran just looks at John. He's like, oh, by the way, John, now that they're like, fuck them, who cares? Lol.
Well, and that is kind of paid off if you think about it. Like, if you rewatch it and with that in mind, so it's a lot of this is kind of that rewatch it with something in mind. But Sansa like talks to him like, "Sorry, that's what we had to do." Like, I think they came down with the idea, let's send him to the Night's Watch. He's already been up there. Plus, it doesn't really exist anymore. Nothing to protect from.
Plus, he's not going to inherit. He is the guy with the strongest claim to the throne if you're doing it the old way, and some people are still going to want to do it the old way, not elective monarchy. He's your strongest rival claimant. You got to banish that guy.
Here. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, after she declares herself an independent kingdom, he doesn't care anyway.
So
well,
at the
she's still going to
beginning, I
care
thought that was
if
dumb.
they get the wrong guy.
At the beginning, I thought that was dumb, but then, after rewatching it, I'm like, okay, maybe they had a plan there,
I wonder what's going to happen in the second vote when they're like, wait, the North got to declare themselves an independent kingdom. Now that we haven't voted yet on this next king, we want to do the same thing.
Yeah,
well,
they have a major succession crisis on there because now they only have 5 kings, 5 kingdoms to keep the 6th rebel one out. Like whoever wants to secede, they have even fewer people to get them back. And once they're out, then you have even fewer, and it's just
It's 6 kingdoms to keep 7, the 7th out.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean, whether they all decide to secede or it just turns into like, hey, help me out getting the vote on king, and I mean, it's going to turn into a shit show.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, which I think I'm okay with that. Like, hey, we're going to be fine for a little while, but it's always going to turn back to bullshit because of the way we rule this. So, it's got some of that depressing, like, nothing ever changes to it. So.
The question is, you've read the books, Josh, when Grey Worm's like, we're going to the island of, what is it, Nanth?
Noth. Noth.
Is that like a Pinky and the Brain thing?
No, that's where Missandei is from.
No. So that was the question I was going to ask. So I remember like earlier in the series where somebody's like, oh yeah, North, it's got beautiful butterflies. And then like, like looks up and she kind of gives them that knowing like, and then they move about their day. But like, doesn't that have like a horrible disease that melts your fucking flesh off?
Yeah, they're flesh-eating butterflies or something.
Oh, I think it gives them a disease that makes your flesh melt off or something.
Are you talking about Grayscale?
Oh, Noth. The island of
There's
Nath.
some deadly butterflies there or something. I saw a meme I saw a comment that said, yeah, he's going to get killed by butterflies.
That might be in the books. I don't think it was in the series.
Oh, it's in the books, but I think there's like one throwaway line in an earlier season where they're like, oh yeah, lovely butterflies there. And somebody kind of like gives
that's a nod to people who've read the books, I guess. No, I mean, it's just where Missandei was from, and her people are peaceful, and he said he was going to take her back there after the war was done. So he's like, I guess I'm going to take all my, warmongers there for whatever reason.
Oh, wait, where are the Dothraki? Where did they go?
I guess they go with him, or just right off and pillage.
Go back to
all over
Essos,
Westeros.
tear shit up.
How did they get back to Essos? They book a ferry? Like, I don't know.
In season 7, actually, Sir Davos meets Missandei and asks her where she's from. She tells him, and he replies that he's heard it's beautiful there with palm trees and butterflies.
I see.
But admits that he hasn't been there himself.
So we've taken care of Jon. Tyrion is now the Hand. I think the next scene is actually Tyrion in the Tower of the Hand, isn't it?
Or he has that
small
little
council.
There were some people who were complaining about him fixing all the chairs. I thought it was a cute little piece of imagery of him,
Yeah, me too.
trying to put everything back in order. I liked it.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
And then they come in and just screw it all up because there's a bunch of numbskulls that he has on his small council.
They were such
I thought it
morons.
was good.
It was
Set up well
annoying.
and paid off well.
The only part of that scene, like once everyone else comes in and start talking, the only part of it that I liked was you have Sir Davos, who I think is one of the best characters in the show.
For sure.
Is illiterate? What was it? Stannis' little girl was teaching him how to read, right?
Yeah.
And
Stannis was a grammar Nazi himself.
Yeah.
And then so at the end he corrects Bronn's grammar. I think Bronn being in the scene was obnoxious. I think he's well outstayed his welcome. I don't think he belonged in the season at all.
He's an asshole the whole entire season.
To do, so they just keep shoehorning him in because he's fucking popular. Like, that's literally it.
Well, old Bronn was popular. This Bronn, no one really cares.
He's a jackass now.
Now all of a sudden he's fucking like master of coin. Why? I don't.
Well, for
Get
one, they're probably lacking on just like
him!
words in general to be anything. And
There are other
of course, he asked him, "Is your debt to the crown paid?" So it's probably some bullshit. I want to be Master of Corn as well as Lord of the Reach.
Like, something else.
he
Why
just-
does anyone help him at this point? Like, fuck you,
He's
dude.
now going to be
Tyrion
in
paid
charge
all
of
his
feeding
debts.
the realm because he's in charge of Highgarden.
I just don't buy it. I think he's been obnoxious. I don't like him in the season at all. Every single time he comes on screen, it's almost like it's a different television show. Like it almost feels like it needs a laugh track once he shows up. It's
saw
obnoxious.
a video clip of that scene
Yes, someone did
Hear
that.
that?
with a laugh track, and it was hilarious.
I need to look
I
that up.
haven't watched it, but I did scroll past that earlier.
It is pretty
no,
funny.
I think it's. I was okay with that scene. Bronn, yeah, okay, a little obnoxious, but it was a nice little send off for Tyrion. It's like, okay, he's gonna be all right with this because this is what he does. And his last line is about the jackass in the honeycomb or whatever that he's told. I think he told that back in who knows what season. But
Sam puts the book down and he's like, I called it a Song of Ice. I helped name it a Song of Ice and Fire. Why did they cut Tyrion out of it?
I don't think that. I don't know. That's just a little jab to add to the humor of the scene. Is all I can figure.
I don't like that scene. I don't like it at all.
Well,
I like Davos. That's about it.
so that happens, and then I loved Davos correcting the grammar because that's so like, yes, he's learned, but also that is such a Stannis thing. Like, Stannis did that several times while he was.
No, I think Davos has a faint. I think Davos is one of the people who I'm fully like. I'm happy with his arc.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm happy with Davos a lot. I'm not happy with Dany's arc. I don't think it was done well. I don't mind where it ends up, but I don't like how we got there. Jon, I think, as much as I like Jon in the early seasons, he's just become obnoxious. Like, dude, you're being an idiot, and you know you're being an idiot while you're doing this. Tyrion didn't feel like Tyrion at the end.
At the end, he did.
He felt like Tyrion to me at the end.
Once he was his hand again.
Whereas Sir Davos, I've never had an issue with Sir Davos. Really.
No, he's been solid.
I think he's been solid throughout the entire series. I like Davos a lot.
So let's go ahead and finish it out, and if we want to touch on.
But
favorites
the only
and least favorites.
Sansa is now we're basically left with the last remaining Starks. Bronn, Jesus Christ, Bran gets wheeled in by Podrick. Sarah Bran of Tarth. I like her too.
Podrick and Brienne also ended up good in their arcs because
I like them too. I like that Brienne was actually writing about Jaime Lannister.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, that was one of my favorites.
I like all the people who are like filling in. This skank ass bitch leaves me.
Yeah, the burn book. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah,
I like
Gets it and quits it.
she's finally a knight, and she's now like the King's Guard that she always kind of wanted to be.
Fulfilled
though it's not.
her promise to Kat. I think I like Bran's a lot.
Yeah.
So we kind of end with her. So now we basically kind of see where all our remaining people are left off. So now it's like, well, the question is, what happens with Sansa? What happens with Arya? What happens with Jon?
Well, we get a montage.
Oh, well, first of all, and here's the last question I want to bring up, because we also get one last scene of Bran as king, where literally he gets wheeled in to talk to his new council. He's like, "Has anyone found the dragon? He saw it out east. Okay, bye."
Yeah, no, he asked him a question. He's like, "Oh yeah, never mind. Let me check on it." And you're like, "Bitch, why did you come in here?"
Why are you here?
Well, yeah, he asked him.
And the
I
Master
think
of
that's more
Whispers.
of them trying to make him like, trying to explain how he got there is more of like, oh, he is the three-eyed raven. It's like, I'll go look for him with my ravens and magic powers, and you guys handle ruling, which I think in that respect Tyrion ends up ruling, and I'm good with that. I think he deserves it.
Whatever. Anyway,
One thing
so
they
now we
need to
have-
do is replace the floors of the castle with poured cement, so that he doesn't have to bump around in his wheelchair all the time.
He does bump a little bit, doesn't he?
So what was the other joke I saw on Free Folk where it was like, no, everyone fulfilled their purpose. Drogon's purpose was to melt the throne and then make an iron like a concrete walkway.
Yeah, the iron
So-
ramp.
Iron ramp. So Bran can we
King of the Iron Ramp.
So anyway, now it's just what happens with our three other Starks. Sansa's queen in the north, and no one gives a fuck about Sansa.
I don't know. I think that's where she was going to end up. You know,
but she didn't do anything this entire season. She was
except
kind of
for
wasted.
betray Danny. I mean, if you want to put it that
I don't even see those conversations. We just get told they happen.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Arya decides to go west, which, if I've learned anything from watching Game of Thrones lore videos, means she's never coming back.
Yeah, but that's so Arya. I think her arc ended up okay too, because it's like, well, I'm done in Westeros, and I got to go see what's out there. You know.
I don't think they knew what to do with her. I'm gonna disagree. I don't think they knew what to do with her.
What would you?
They're like, well, what would you do now? I guess leave. I always feel that's a really lazy ending to anybody. And then they left. Like, I don't know.
I don't mind it in certain circumstances, but she had mentioned in the previous 2 episodes that family was everything. And how you got to stay loyal. And we're Starks. We got to stick together. Remember you're a Stark. All this stuff.
She kills on them immediately.
And then she left and said, I'm never going back to Winterfell.
Thank you for remembering that.
The other thing,
remembering that.
The thing I will say is she asked someone way back, what's west of Westeros? So she's always kind of been curious.
True.
At the same time, she became a killer, fought and killed the Night King, came down to King's Landing, almost died in the fiery abyss there. And I think she's like, you know what? I'm done with that shit. I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm not going to be the assassin Arya anymore. I got to sail off into the west and diminish type thing, you know.
That's our thing.
To me, that was
diminish. No one else.
To me, that was her. That was her like leaving behind the murderous Arya that she had created, knowing that Jon was gone and
her kill
Sansa
list was
gonna
gone.
Rule. Yeah, she had no one else on her kill list, and just leaving it behind and starting new.
I think what Grady says carries more weight. I think it's another instance of character whiplash, where you have somebody who's talking about how important family is and never bailing on them, and then she just decides to leave.
But on the other hand, her family had just been set up. Like, her family was like kind of secure for a while.
She's never gonna see Jon again.
She could stay and be their like master of assassins, or she could do something else.
Even Tyrion was like, "Oh, Jon, I'll see you again. Come on."
Yeah, but Jon knew no one would. He's like, I'm going up there. I'm going north of the wall. Fuck all of that.
I feel like Jon's gonna come back and visit.
Yeah, at least meet with the king in the not true north.
I think Jon goes to the cave that he and his wildling girlfriend, Ygritte, spent, and he just dies. In that cave.
I think what Grady's original. I'm sorry, I forgot about that quote. It always felt wrong to me, but like after remembering that she talked about, yeah, you're right. Like she talked about how important family was, and then she just leaves. No, I don't buy it. I think that was another instance of we don't really know what to do with her, so we just told her to leave. It makes sense, right? She's adventurous.
Well,
I don't buy it.
I would have liked her to stay around, served as.
I don't know how you set her up anywhere though. She's
maybe if you thought about it for a wider session, we could come up with something other than she just leaves.
It's not
that right.
If you had the time, you would say, okay, she stays as assassin. Then you cut forward and say, she's actually displeased with just doing this. This is kind of like tedious and annoying, and so she gets restless and leaves. Talks to all of them, gets her family's blessing, and does that. And, then it still kind of says, well, she did her duty by her family, and then she's like, well, but I also want to live for myself, too, so she goes and does that. I think that would be fun.
That's not what we got.
Maybe if they played it out further, but I think essentially they do that, but within the end of the episode. It's like, hey, Jon's gone, and he's going to be fine. My sister's king of the north, she's going to be fine, and I guess I can leave.
I don't really buy it, but ultimately we do finally get Jon petting Ghost.
Oh my god, the best part of the episode. Best part of the season by far.
Yes, this is easily the highlight of the season.
I teared up a little bit. I was like, oh my god.
So, because I wasn't pet him before, after the battle of the Long Night or whatever. I remember me being annoyed with it, but I wasn't as pissed off as a lot of other people were, because I was like, okay, I would have really liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
But like, there are so many other reasons to be mad at where the show's going right now that I'm not going to worry about him petting a dog. I actually was talking about it with my boss at one point, and he was like, if I had to say goodbye to my dog forever, it'd probably be even harder if I went over and started petting him on the head. I'm like, I see your point. But I also don't get why he had to say goodbye to him in the first place. That doesn't make sense. Regardless.
Yeah, why didn't he just go with him? Whatever.
Regardless, I also didn't know why Ghost charged off in that fight with all the Dothraki anyway. That seemed really out of place. Like they added him in later out of, oh, we didn't do anything with Ghost in a while. Like it was dumb.
Well,
Yeah,
they,
why did Sir Jorah? I mean, why a lot of things in that charge? But that's neither
Giant-
here nor there.
Giant zombie. Why did a zombie giant decide to bring a tiny girl right up to its face?
We can
Plenty of
talk
time.
about that episode later.
Anyway, yeah, you're right. But anyway, I remember being really pissed off when they were like, well, we couldn't really pull off the CGI stuff. And I'm like, this is bullshit. One, you got HBO money. Two, I can think of it right now. Like an upward shot from the side where like you're looking up, like part CG, part puppet or something. Like you can do all of those tricks. Like Jurassic Park could pull that off in 1994. And you can't have him pet his goddamn dog. And it turns out they were just lying to get everyone riled up for the inevitable at the end where he reunited with them. So touche. That's the one thing I'll give them. But
apparently, and this is something I learned after the fact, but apparently all the dire wolves were actual wolves at a wolf sanctuary that they took footage of, and then they CGI'd on top of that, and used that as the basis of the CGI or something. So there is a real ghost out there somewhere.
oh.
find him. I'm going to adopt him.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're going to go north of the wall.
Yeah,
Finish.
that's how the series ends.
And then it turns out that Stephen takes the Iron Throne after all.
Yeah, Stephen the Broken.
Stephen the Broken.
Also, his dick doesn't work.
Stephen the Impotent.
I guess we don't. He's not here to defend himself. He can say whatever he wants. So yeah, that's your new ruling name, Stephen the Impotent. Unless there's an S name we can come up with.
I really do like that Sansa
like
just
tons
like
of
dropped
kids,
that in there. Like, also he can't like have kids because he just can't. You know, just in case anyone was curious.
They just kind of dropped that in there. Like, oh, by the way, he can't have kids. Like, whoa,
Bran's just like, fucking, I'm right here. Stop.
One other thing about Bran Stark, and y'all let me know if you remember or not. Wasn't he addressed as Brandon Stark at some point?
Yeah.
Like by the Children of the Forest or somebody?
Mm-hmm.
So when they say Bran the Broken, first of his name, it's not even really his name because his name's Brandon, and Brandon the Builder, Brandon Stark, is who built the wall. So he's not first of his name.
He's
So
first
that
of his
whole
name on
shit
the
is-
Iron Throne.
I mean,
The Iron Chair.
is that how it works? Like you're first of your name only in the
Yeah, because
first of your name to sit on the throne.
yeah, it matters
That's
which realm it is. Like in James the Sixth and First of Scotland and England. Like,
Okay,
he was,
well
you know,
I didn't
so.
realize that. So thank you for clearing that up.
Brandon Stark, you're right. Brandon.
But his name is Brandon.
but he isn't.
so
Yeah, that's true.
They could have called him that.
That's like being King Jim the Third or something. Why aren't you going by James? You know, this is your official title.
King Jim. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, King Jim. Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks for clearing that up. That's not as dumb now, but still kind of dumb.
Yeah, don't use nicknames in official capacities. That's just silly.
So yeah, we get Jon walking off into the north with Tormund and all of the wildlings. That's how it ends. Well, not walking, he's riding, I guess. Huh?
And you see the sprig of plant life in the
Oh,
foreground.
do you? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's a little.
So the winter was incredibly short.
Yeah,
It was
long winter
like
my ass.
2 months worth of winter.
Yeah, it was dumb.
So,
We could go off on a whole other tangent about how fucking lame the build up to the Night King was.
True.
yeah, that we'll have to go into that some later date. Do y'all wanna do like a favorites and least favorites or anything like that, or?
Or the series.
No, I'm in. Well,
finale?
I'm into the finale.
The finale is easy. The favorite part was Ghost Pets.
Ghost Pets is pretty good.
Yeah,
This is
John
really
and
good.
Ghost. Was
I like
mine.
Danny's wing shot though. That's really cool.
And then yeah, Brienne and the Kingsguard book filling out Jamie's stuff. Yeah, I like that scene. So
Or he filled out her stuff, if you know what I mean.
yeah, everybody's filling stuff out. Yeah, I have like a least favorite that stands out like the most disappointing or the most angering thing.
It's either Drogon melting the Iron Throne like it's some kind of literary genius, or probably I don't know, the gap in logic with them not just killing Jon's dumb. and I think really pisses me off. Not Bran, but Braun. I think just him being around obnoxious at this point.
Just his existence. I mean, ugh.
My least favorite was definitely Grey Worm and all the shit that doesn't mesh with him. So
Oh, him just murdering people without questioning.
murdering people, the whole thing with John where he's holding them and doesn't do anything, and then he's like willing to die so that John died. I don't know, just the whole thing. It's dumb. He just didn't seem like Grey Worm to me, for sure.
Yeah, he was dark side Grey Worm. He lost Missandei. He was just fighting for wrath.
Sure, but like calculated wrath. Like I'll jail this guy for 3 months, and then
Yeah, that part is really stupid. Where he's like, I'm just gonna he like cut those dudes' throats in the street, and then he's like, better jail this guy. He literally murdered the queen.
Well, and even in that, like when John is about to stop him from murdering those people, they're about to murder John.
Yeah.
like he doesn't hold him in
Stopping
that high
him from
regard.
murdering prisoners, death.
Yeah.
Actually
But-
murdering the queen, yeah, lock him up.
So,
Fair trial.
And then let everyone else compromise over what to do with them, and then we're just gonna leave without doing anything.
yeah,
to
and
it.
then they just leave and go to
Yeah.
a place with a bunch of peaceful inhabitants and I guess conquer it. I mean, what do? You're the Unsullied. So. Anyway.
What my least favorite thing would be? I think my least favorite thing would be just because of its unlikeliness is the sit down to decide the king. I mean, like the premise of settling it that way. They've never done that. I mean, I get, okay, maybe change your tactics since it's always led to violence. Grey Worm going along with it. Them all deciding, sure, yeah, let's vote for this asshole. A lot of us haven't really heard of besides what some of the people we fought before have said
We're
about
just
him.
gonna pick this creepy kid who barely talks, and
Yeah, and once someone declares independence, the rest of them are like, wait, yeah, I guess I still want him to be king. Like, they don't declare their independence. Yara has already been promised independence, and she's going to go along with it after swearing fealty in the meeting, saying, hold on,
to the
Daenerys
queen.
is my queen.
Yeah.
also I think it's funny is the fact that you have that new Dornish prince there, and he's probably like, "What the fuck is going on? Who
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
I've never met any
Oh,
of you."
and you have like grown up Robin Aaron. So
You do be a handsome AF
handsome
Robin Aram, dude.
over there. So that was interesting. But yeah, Grady, you made a good point. Is like one of my least. I think for the Grey Worm, the whole Grey Worm stuff, my least favorite part was when they're at the thing and he's like, "Well, you're the most," or Tyrion says, "You're the most important people in King's Landing, so you choose a king." And Grey Worm's like, "Well, go ahead." Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck, dude? You're in control of the capital. And
Yeah.
You're just okay with all these people picking a new king. Like,
Yeah, this is fine, I guess.
I
I
think
guess
he
I'll listen to
says-
who.
Yeah, I think he says "go ahead" or something to that effect. And I was like, "That's so dumb."
You have
What are
my
you
blessing.
So
Like, maybe he was done. I mean, maybe he had talked to the Dothraki and they were like, dude, we're leaving. Like, that lady was our only chance and we're done now. But that's
Promises
still
a lot to
stupid,
Jed,
you know?
And now we're done, so we're going
Yeah.
home.
even so, like, why do you care about Jon Snow if you don't care who's going to be king next year or whatever?
Yeah.
The whole thing just struck me as weird.
It's dumb.
I know that the dog that the reunion, the pat for the good boy was a great moment, but I also in the sad vein of a great moment, for me, was Drogon doing the Simba nudge
Oh,
to Dany.
Dick.
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah,
that
and
was
then
sad.
proceeding to, like, bellow grief. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Before he
painful
melts the
sounding
throne,
shriek.
I thought that was great.
Good job on the sound effects, guys, for that one. You could really, feel the anguish
Yeah.
for a dragon,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. It's like, I've never heard a dragon before, but that's what one would sound like if it was in
Giant
pain.
cartoon dragon. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got.
So overall, not terribly impressed with the ending. It's all we got, I guess, except for like the 6 other endings they purportedly filmed to.
Hey, those endings
spoilers.
don't have water bottles and shots.
Or coffee cups. But that one's not in the ending. That one's in the episode before.
We need to go back and see if they're like Easter eggs. Like all along, there've been like fairies,
Like little plastic Easter eggs out in the scenes.
Yeah, sure, Easter eggs. I meant just like drinking containers in like every season.
Snow dragon egg.
But it is disappointing that it did not land as impactfully as we all hoped it would, because it's been going so long and it is so big out there.
Had a very rushed thing that I don't think set up anything they wanted to do at all.
And everyone's like, "Oh, well, we still have the books, but come on, dude, you need to finish those before you die."
Yeah.
70, 71 now, something like that.
71 or 72.
Yeah, it's not
And
gonna happen.
apparently there will be 3 spin-offs that are still a go. So
We'll see if those get fucking published.
we'll see what happens with those.
Jesus, if
Oh
those
yeah,
get
and the
produced.
fact that like John's heritage matters nothing at all at the end.
Yeah. No. I purposely try to stay away from too many of those overarching things.
Of
Like,
like
we can
dropped
talk
plot lines.
So what was the point of this? What was the point of that? Like, but we just don't have time for a recap episode. And I'm sure we're already well past the 1 hour mark.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
Well past hour 20. It's pretty
We'll
good.
try to land this beast better than they landed Game of Thrones.
All right.
that's it for now. Maybe we'll do this again with some other shows. We'll see. Maybe Steven will join us, or maybe he'll continue to be a little bitch. We don't know.
Don't insult Stephen the impotent.
Even the impotent. Steven the sterile.
Ruler of the Roinar, which they never mention in the series.
The Roinar are the
The
ancestors.
people of the Roin.
Well, yeah, but they're the ancestors to the Khalasar, to the Dothraki.
Dothraki.
They're the riding people of the river or something.
Well,
Riding
I
with
just
Nick.
mean that's always been in the titles in the book, and it's not in. They don't
Okay.
mention the Roin.
Oh, they don't even mention. Yeah.
So, anyway, never mind.
Be that. I guess we'll see y'all later.
Bye,
Yeah.
people of the world.
Bye.
We like you.
Your nights be better than Game of Thrones. Bye.
Yes, we've been the Sagely Sage Stooges
You've been the Roinar.
and the Andals and the First Men.
Goodbye.
And now our watch has ended.